Hello and happy February 4th, diary listeners. That is the title of today's diary entry, and I think you'll notice it with the post that I'm changing the look a little bit. I'm kind of liking the rhythm of letting stories, kind of GIFs, create the images for the day and just seeing what's happening out there. I might use AI eventually just to have fun, just to play with it, and get myself, I don't know. I want this to be playful, and why not, right? So enjoy, listeners. I have a lot to say today. Welcome to the Apprenticeship Diaries, where raw meets refined.
Let's be real, we're still working on refining.
What it took, what it takes, and the stories that are made.
Join us as we learn from professionals about how their stories began.
All right, I want to start with something that is a big thing. Apparently, it is Black History Month. I wanted to give you guys some insights about a few things that I researched right before I got on the horn here. February 4th apparently is the first thing that came up was this is World Cancer Day by UICC. I don't know what that means. I don't know if it's cancer as in the astrological sign or cancer as in the illness. I hope this is an advocacy thing. I didn't read more about it, to be honest with you guys, but apparently it's World Cancer Day. This day in history, just in general, on this day in 1945, during the final stages of World War II, the Yalta Conference opened with Franklin D. Roosevelt, Winston Churchill, and Joseph Stalin meeting to plan the final defeat and occupation of Nazi Germany. So that's pretty cool. And then this day in Black history, because we're in that month, in 1870, the 15th Amendment to the United States Constitution was ratified, guaranteeing the right to vote regardless of race. The amendment was also intended to ensure civil rights for those who were formerly enslaved. So, big day. Hopefully, you guys can let me know if you like these fun facts. These are just general facts that Google is obliged to give me in a very modest search. What I start out with is the date, February 4th, and I just see what comes up. And that's that. And then purposely, I sought out the Bible verse for the day. I always get two. I get one from dailyverses.com or .net. And then I also get the People Also Ask, what is the Bible verse for the month of February? I didn't look into that. I did what is the Bible verse for today. And the Bible verse for today is John 13:34. Jesus said, "And now I give you a new commandment. Love one another as I have loved you. So you must love one another." So that's what Google came up with, apparently. I don't know what really sets the trends with these things, but it's a great verse. It's a New Testament commandment, which is huge. The only other commandment within what God prescribed in the New Testament was to believe in him, that he is the path and the way to heaven. So that was the invocation of the New Testament and those new commandments. It was also the fulfillment of the sacrificial law because Christ gave of himself. So cool. And then as far as dailyverses.net, their Bible verse of the day is Psalm 82:3. And it is defend the weak and the fatherless, uphold the cause of the poor and the oppressed. So all good things. I think that these are wonderful things. Every time I read the Bible, I'm never upset. And as far as like learning fun factoids, you got Snapple facts, you got fortune cookies, you got all these different things. Now you have the apprenticeship diaries. Hopefully I can ground your day with some fun insights and give you something at the top of this diary listen that might encourage you to keep listening, or at the very least you walk away with something you didn't have at the top. So that's cool, and that's my aim. I wanted to talk about this past week. I had the blessing of tattooing Gabriel, my new client Gabriel from I'm sorry, I'm from Chile. I don't know why. I had just talked to another client and she had mentioned going and visiting Peru often, and my head just kept going Peru, and I was like, that's not right. So he's from Chile, and we have a great time, and we just did a really cool tattoo for him. I haven't posted it yet on my main page. I want to. It was very angry by the end of it, meaning his skin was quite pissed at me by the end, but we did a Alkaline Trio cassette tape, which I had to ask him because he's younger. I was like, have you even played one of these? And he said he's done a VHS tape, like he's played one of those, and it was an old cartoon. But I think he said Tom and Jerry was the cartoon, if I recall correctly. But he said he's never played a musical cassette tape. But the whole time, Rico, while I was doing the stencil for the tattoo, he was like, my God, he's got great music taste. I love Alkaline Trio. And then he rambled off a bunch of other music. And so Rico was geeking out, as he always does, in regards to my work, which is really cool. It always excites him. And he was very excited to see the tattoo, which came out pretty well, and Gabriel was very happy. I hope it heals well. I hope he is healing well. He is a very awesome young man, and I'm excited to have a new person, and also a young person. I mean, it's crazy that I'm tattooing people that they were born the year after I graduated high school. I mean, it's just wild to me. They warned me. They warned me that it would be like this. They all did. They said it was coming and it was going to be like this. So here we are. But a lot of cool things happened this week. I did have to miss church, which was a little, I always feel pretty bad missing church, particularly because I have 3 people at church that I'm trying to be of regular service to, but I've dropped the ball on them many times now, and I kind of feel awful. They're very graceful and they give me a lot of leeway, but I've been trying to just cut their hair for them and, give them something that I can do that's very easy for me. But I either forget to bring my stuff, which happens quite often, or I'll commit to going and then not look at my schedule and realize that I can't make it, or I can't make it happen that week. So that's unfortunate. I feel awful about that. So to Nelda, Emmanuel, and Donna, I am so sorry that I left you hanging this week. I had no intention of doing that. It happened. It happened, and I was upset that it's happening, honestly. It's not fun for me either to feel that way, and I know they don't put any pressure on me, but it felt bad to leave them hanging, knowing that I had said the week before that I wanted to cut their hair, which I do. I definitely do. Wednesday was the coolest day last week with Gabriel. Tattooing felt good. I love tattooing, guys. I really, really do, and I love people. I guess, I love the Bible verses that we expressed right now, and a recognition of Black history and just history in general. American history. We're going through a lot of history right now on a moment-to-moment basis. We have a new administration, and it seems like every day something else is happening. We're having confirmation hearings. I'm having a lot of people like break down on social medias, and I guess for a second before I go into like the very fun part of what happened later in the week, I've really seen I'm witnessing pretty much at this stage, I think, the same thing that happened to me really in 2020 happened to a lot of people who work with the government and who have government contracts, who work in these bureaucracies and in these agencies that, they're losing their jobs, they're losing funding and all of these things. And I feel for that. I do. I do. I also have to say that there's a part of me, not a good part of me, but a very honest part of me that feels vindicated about this. I think that this has been pushed to a breaking point, and I do have compassion for people who have built their lives around certain things and thought they had security and now finding that they're not secure, actually. The only thing that I'm trying very hard to communicate to people who I don't think have the capacity to hear me right now, but that I want to let them know is that I'm not gonna stop being their friend. I'm not gonna run away from telling them my honest feelings and the truth of how I see it, nor am I going to shut up about what happened to me in 2020 and how I was ostracized, kicked out of my profession. I was fired. I was, told that I was inessential. I was, I basically had to go off and start my whole own studio, my own private studio. And it was super heartbreaking because the way that people were treating each other was just so bad. It was so awful. And I really couldn't see the reason for it other than the fact that there was just such acute fear. And here we are again, such acute fear. But the difference is that I'm not really afraid. And it's not because there isn't like a gigantic mound of crap coming down the pipeline. There is. I'm willing to watch what this administration is doing. I have the benefit of not being in a government position or a bureaucracy or any kind of agency to where I have to worry about the security of my job. Now, prices might go up on certain things that I use regularly in my profession. That might actually happen, as well as things that I eat and I partake in. But, as far as I'm concerned, I'm fine with having to really account for my life and cut back and to go without certain things and really reprioritize. In fact, that's what the last 5 years have been since 2020 is all of that. And I think that's why 2020 was in the end a very good thing, despite how I felt in those personal times. And so I'm watching this now with the other people, the other people who did exactly what they were told and, facilitated all these different programs and all these different things that they believed in, that they felt the right to kind of with their authority, quote unquote, to force down the American public's throats. And And now they're really having to suffer the consequences of that. And I pray for justice for the people who have actually been fraudulent, who've been funneling a bunch of tax dollars and just pushing campaigns that the American people did not vote on, they did not want, with no transparency, no choice, no voting, none of that. I want justice for people who got us here. But I have so much compassion for the everyday person who has spent their money, life, time, facilitating these jobs and putting themselves wholeheartedly into them and really believing in the initiatives that they were creating. One of the big things is DEI right now. Good friend of mine was just, it's a post that's floating around Facebook right now, and it's just breaking down everything that DEI is proposed to be, and it's ushering up this thought that it does not actually decrease quality. And here's the thing. The thought is that it welcomes in observances and accommodations for very special interest people, and that is the benefit of it. So women who are pregnant, and men who are new fathers, and child care leave, and all of this stuff. A certain kind of accommodations in work environments for people who are disabled, et cetera, and so on. The issue that I brought up with my friend is that unfortunately, a lot of these things, when they become policy and when they become something that these big corporations set the standard in and more push with government influence, it cripples and hurts small business. Because the little guy has virtually no ability to compete, because the special accommodations that are now standard are not things that a person can just alter their entire business in order to substantiate, and they go out of business, and they get completely pushed out by bigger people. They also, as all of these regulations and things go up, everything has a cost politically. And the issue with that is that while on its face it's about ensuring quality and safety, I can assure you from the few things that I've done with government licensing, whether it be through tattooing or cutting hair, is that these people don't these paper pushers, these pencil pushers, do not actually give a crap. I have gotten temporary licenses. I have traveled with my work. I've gone to conventions. I've gone to other states. I've remained in state and held licenses. I have acquired several. They don't actually ensure quality. If that was the case, how do you get bad tattoos from people who, graduate from a program or a school? How do you get bad haircuts if these people are fully and completely, quote unquote, educated, licensed, but then they have no ability to actually operate once they get into a work environment? And it just, and it's really kind of awful, because when the system is set up that way, you have your long-term players, your long-term people who do know how to operate, but because they care so much and they've had to grit and claw and scrape to find every little scrap of professional knowledge they have, they're not really willing to share that information with the new person who's, green coming on the job, whether it be a nurse, whether it be a hairstylist, whether it be a tattoo artist. They're not really, too keen on this young this young person coming in, kind of being like a lost puppy in a lot of things, and also, you know, increasing competition for what might otherwise go to, you know, the other person. In the realms of nursing, it's really about like, this is life or death. Like, people, if you mess up, you know, you can hurt somebody. And so they don't have the kind of compassion to be nice or kind or accepting. They want people who know their job and they know it well. With nursing and things like that, they do things like clinicals. So that kind of helps. But, you know, in lieu of what my friend Mike said, he was like, well, you know, how does DEI raise costs? I'm like, oh, how much does it take to get a piece of paper that says that you are up to a certain standard to which this licensure body or this regulatory body finds you adequate to start working? You know, do the clients, do the patients, do they all know what the standards are? Do they know how well you performed? Is there any kind of transparency with that? And then as far as like I said, you know, accommodations, like if you have to provide all of these certain things. And what I told him is that, you know, in the time that I grew up in a small business, we had all the things that he talked about. We had disabled people. We had a couple of people that were in wheelchairs that we had to move, you know, our haircutting chairs out of the way and cut their hair in their chairs. And we had to accommodate certain things. And it wasn't, you know, the latest and greatest kind of thing, but it was communal and it was caring and it was something where we went the distance. I mean, my father, to this day, will travel to elderly clients' homes and cut their hair in their homes. You know, he'll do things for them just because of the bonds that were created in that very, very nurturing, very, very small space, but very integral space. We had women that were pregnant. We had people who went ill. We had medical plans. My parents had a matching IRA that they did with their stylists. They had a whole apprenticeship program. They bred and created new stylists that went off, many of them, to open up their own salons. All the things that DEI says, you know, that it shelters or that it cares about is things that we have the capacity to do very much so on our own, and that we don't need to be told to do it. But when corporations create these standards and they work in butt buddy situations with politicians, create lobbyist groups to force certain regulatory standards that basically make it so that it is so unbelievably difficult for your average person to start an initiative or a business or any of those things. And that's what DEI does. You know, like it gets in the way of our ability to truly figure these things out for ourselves, to truly love each other, to truly set our own boundaries, to truly be unique and stand for the kind of things that we feel are important. I mean, look at Bud Light's a great example. You know, with these DEI initiatives, like one of the things that was going through is that companies, I forget exactly how it went, but you basically had like a social credit score. If you had and included and showed publicly that you were adopting DEI initiatives, you know, you were given this, I forget exactly what it was, but you were basically penalized by our government if you were not going to push these agendas. And look at Bud Light. That's a perfect example. You know, totally took away from, you know, their product, like what their product was. You know, like who freaking cares? First of all, in my eyes, you know, who drinks it? Why do they have to, you know, do all that anyway? I mean, Bud Light's kind of an institutional thing, but completely ostracized its market base and forgot about its product. but mostly it's client and it's regular customer, and all to push these initiatives that its company it's just never been about. Like, it's just never been about. And it tanked. Like, it lost a lot of favor. It really suffered a huge blow because of what it did. And a lot of companies have had that. And, you know, my friend basically admitted that he thinks that the majority of Americans are racist, bigoted, misogynistic, ableist idiots because of their want to get rid of DEI. And I just tried to give him a perspective about the whole thing, saying, look, man, no, in fact, that's not the case. What is the case is the cost has become too high. We are, as a country, far too overextended. I was panicking when it was 2020 and we were just, you know, not operational for what I thought was only going to be 2 weeks, but it ended up being like years. And the fallout of all of those things. And there has been a lot of fallout that is not being talked about, that is going on. And as far as Trump, now what I will say is that I don't like executive orders. They're unconstitutional in a lot of ways. It's not ideal. But the way I see it is in terms of a lot of this is it's like emergency surgery, man. Like, we are overextended to a point where it's gonna collapse at some point. And American citizens at large in many different camps and demographics were getting hurt badly. Innocent people. And so, and our money is being taken for all of this stuff. And so for me, going in there and, you know, cutting out the fat of these things is really, really good. I don't know what will happen with this much power being acquired and corralled and stuff. My hope is that it's an emergency surgery cleanup to get us back to where we were and where we need to be, which is more of a constitutional republic, and where we serve American citizens. That is what I really, really hope for, because I don't want another, like, I don't want a king. I don't want, you know, an emperor or somebody like that. We're supposed to have a constitutional republic, and our Constitution is amazing. It's one of the most miraculous and beautiful documents ever, to me, to ever exist, ever since I started studying it and I took a class on it and everything and learned it. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. And I really hope that we can have a restoration of that. So, you know, executive orders are pretty antithetical to that. We'll see what happens, but it's new. It's only February 4th. You know, he got inaugurated January 20th. It's not like there's been this much time. So I want to see what happens. Like, I want to see what happens. I'm still here for all my friends. I'm still talking. It's not a lack of love for me to give you a different perspective. It's simply me giving you a different perspective and asking you to see it from a side that you're not used to seeing it from. And very much so trying to let people know that, like, the biggest thing now is that we all care. I am glad that everybody has their thing that they care about and their tribe and their people. And I do, like I said, I think that's what was great about 2020. Is that everybody kind of found their people and their tribe and their the things that they're passionate about. Now we have to actually care, and we do have to actually come together as a people and get clear on a lot of things. Now is definitely the time that we have to hold our leaders accountable. We have to get educated. And as I said to my friend Mike, I said, you know, look, if it doesn't dip quality at all, then okay, let's put it this way. If these people are very highly skilled people who are the most fit for the job, and this isn't a matter of preferential treatment or, spending extra money or any of those things, then what will happen when they lose these jobs with the government is that these people will go off and find other jobs that very easily, because it'll be fine, right? Like it'll be something that everybody needs, and they'll be able to do what they got to do. That's how I see it. And personally, I feel like when you have a country that is strong, you have peace, you have the kind of economy and people and workforce and all of these things that you can actually have charitable action through. I believe the majority of people are, we love to work if we are able to do our work and we're able to actually have value in a society and not be barked at constantly and told. I mean, it's essentially the American dream. Like if you can't construct the American dream, if you can't come here and or be here and dream of what you want to do and actually do it, and do it to the best of your ability and compete in a way that is set up with weights and measures that actually reward merit, there is no incentive to be excellent. There isn't no incentive to do much, and there also isn't enough extra to give out to people who might be struggling. I've noticed that when I have abundance, I give abundantly. When I do not have abundance, I do not give abundantly. It's just the way it goes. I can't heal the woes of the world. I can't even, this whole podcast has become a thing where I'm trying to communicate how God works in my life on a regular basis, and just kind of lean into a diary entry with the hope that it will be something that people will come to and have a regular touchstone with, and an assimilation to, and might even help them open up their own hearts and minds to seek God. But I don't know. I only can do that for myself. And when it comes to generosity, I can only do that when I'm strong, when I'm very, very strong. And it's the same with anything. What's good on a micro level is good on a macro level. And what's good on a macro level is good on a micro level. Like, these things should be translatable no matter what you're talking about, what organization, what relationship, everything. It is ordered. And I remember what I was going to say, and this will get me into my fun things that I did this week that I'm sure you're all, just waiting for me to stop this conversation. But I was telling my friend Allie that a big issue, Allie Oxenblood, she's awesome. We're like soul sisters. It's so great. I had no idea, but it's just wonderful. But I was telling her that the big struggle for me in being a mentor or any kind of thing, any kind of person, honestly, the biggest struggle was codependency. And I have had such a hard time with boundaries. My therapist has told me the longest time when she was alive, that what my struggle was with boundaries. And I was very kind, but I didn't know how to set good boundaries. And boundaries are essential for compassion and love. You cannot grow as a person. You cannot give to another person if you do not grow yourself, and you do not know how to allocate your energies and prioritize your energies and appropriately spend your time and etc. And what I would do is I would just hold on way too long with too many situations, people, relationships that just didn't serve me. And the reason is because I have struggled for such a long time with what the line is between teaching somebody and hazing them or being mean to them. And that has come up a lot this week. Is it like, I think a lot of this stuff is seen as just mean and vicious and hateful. And there's all this all this venom about, and finger wagging and blame and things like that. And, I heard it in my friend Mike's, admission to say that the majority of Americans are that ugly and that wicked. That's a horrible view, man. And, I think that you feel that way if you don't understand boundaries and business and direction and order. And that is what meeting God and learning about God's order and justice and law has really, really, really given me is boundaries. It has allowed me to know exactly when to walk away and how much time and energy to give to any one situation before it's like, yeah, this isn't working. I did try. Now we're done. Now I got to walk away. Now it's best for both of us if I just lovingly let go and let God and pray for you. And, I'm really only called to speak to somebody and try to convey at least my perspective of the thing, what I perceive as the truth, 2 times. That's what the Bible calls us to do is if you see somebody walking down a bad path and they're not seeing something that is going to mess them up or mess up a whole bunch of people long term and really make things ugly, you are obliged, at least through Christian charity and, brotherly and sisterly love, to warn them and to tell them what you see. It's hard because you risk them hating you. You risk them unfriending you. As I told Mike, I was like, dude, I have had people fire me, unfriend me, scream in my face, call me names, professionally smear me, personally smear me, gossip, like all manner of things I've had people do about me, and at the same time act like they're better people and that they are kinder and more caring and all of these things, and that I am somehow this awful human. And I've had this happen to me, and I just, I'm not going to stop loving people. And that's the point, is that I want everyone to know that I know it's scary right now because we don't know what's ahead. We can't know what's ahead, but we can rest in what we already do know and what already has been done. And to my friend Mike, I basically said, these DEI initiatives are very much so put through, based in HR and things like that. And HR is a lot like therapy. And one of my, therapy for corporations, sensitivity training for corporate entities so that they can create more happy, healthy, and, free-flowing work environments where everybody is able to function. Well, that's bigger, that's macro therapy, right? And organization and stuff. Well, my therapist, when I first started therapy, it was made very clear to me that she was like, Amy, there's going to be times where you take big rests from this. So you're not going to need me, and I don't want you to spend the money coming here. I'm going to give you tools to exercise in your life so that you can practice these things and basically learn how to, communicate more effectively, set better boundaries, and go out in the world and be a lot more ordered. And she's like, but I, it'll be on your own pace. I'm not going to require you to do anything at a certain point. I really hope that you go and you experiment with these tools that I'm going to give you. And, when you need me, I'll be here. And she said, but, if I'm doing my job correctly, it means that I'll invalidate myself eventually because you'll know how to self-drive. And I think that's honestly where we're at with a lot of these things. Like some of the stuff that was listed as DEI initiatives, I know full well are already in place, are already in the hearts and minds of the people who work in these fields, who have had to go through all these sensitivity trainings that, and it's also in us. These things are instinctual. People throughout history have been able to figure out how to come together and work and play and learn and grow and build and all of these things. Like, America is ginormous and we have so much all over the world, and we are the global hegemon, man. Like, I don't feel like there's anything that we can't figure out. And there's no lack of love. And I understand that people are kind of wigging out right now. But, to me, an HR personnel being that is arguing for their job to stay in place, when it's very clear that it has become extraneous, they're arguing for their own self-interest. And that's what happens with a lot of these bureaucratic agencies, is they're just arguing to keep themselves in play. And, things gotta die out. We don't go to Blockbuster anymore, guys. I started this with a cassette tape. We stream music now. It is a whole different world in not a lot of time. I mean, we're talking 80s to now. That's not a lot of time, guys. That's 40 some years. That's my life. That's not a lot. And I've witnessed it all. And things got to move. And if you're not willing to move, I mean, comedians will even say it. They're, the good ones, they're like, you got to figure it out. You got to figure out what's funny. You got to move with the times. You got to grow. You got to expand. You got to work with it. Because these are our talents. And from what I understand from HR, they have lots of talents. It's not like you're missing talents. I mean, at the very base, you know how to type really well, and you know how to fill out forms, you know how to write systems. It's not like those skills are non-transferable to something else. You could do consulting on your own. It might be smaller, you might not make as much money, but it also might be a call to explore something that you always were, but that you stopped yourself from because you had such a safety net in what you were doing that you just didn't do it. So, and by the way, that's what I'm doing right now. Since 2020, I've really cut back on tattooing because I just see the industry moving more and more into regulation and in spaces that I'm not really that keen on. I don't know what's going to happen, particularly here in Maryland. I struggle with other artists. I feel like because we're mercurial, we're like herding cats, like to think about dealing with a bunch of artists in a business, it scares me, quite frankly. If I'm honest, I don't know if I should be that scared, but I'm honestly like, that does intimidate me. It's less intimidating more and more and more as I've learned boundaries and I feel clean about, what I want to pursue and what I want to speak about. And mostly it's God, and mostly I want everything to be to the glory of God. And I'm like on fire for God right now, just a freak for it. Which, leads me to a few things that I experienced this week that I thought were really kind of cool. I'm looking for my phone right now. Sorry. I wanted to read this to you. Oh, it's 3:33. I love stuff like that. I wanted to share with you guys a post that my friend George actually shared with me that I thought was really cool. And I want to read it to you guys because I think it's something worth hearing. This is the original text from the book where Desiderata was first published. I hope I said that correctly. Go placidly amid the noise and the haste, and remember that peace. Sorry, I'm messing this up. Let me try again. Go placidly amid the noise and the haste, and remember what peace there may be in silence. As far as possible, without surrender, be on good terms with all persons. Speak your truth quietly and clearly, and listen to others, even to the dull and ignorant. They too have their story. Avoid loud and aggressive persons. That's kind of me. I know that's me. They are vexatious to the spirit. If you compare yourself with others, you may become vain or bitter, for always there will be greater and lesser persons than yourself. Enjoy your achievements as well as your plans. Keep interested in your own career. However humble, it is a real possession in the changing fortunes of time. Exercise caution in your business affairs, for the world is full of trickery. But let this not blind you to what virtue there is. Many persons strive for high ideals, and everywhere life is full of heroism. Be yourself, especially do not feign affection. Neither be cynical about love, for in the face of all aridity and disenchantment, it is as perennial as the grass. Take kindly the counsel of the years. Gracefully surrender the things of use. Nurture strength of spirit to shield you in sudden misfortune. But do not distress yourself with dark imaginings. Many fears are born of fatigue and loneliness. Beyond a wholesome discipline, be gentle with yourself. You are a child of the universe no less than the trees and the stars. You have a right to be here. And whether or not it is clear to you, no doubt the universe is unfolding as it should. Therefore, be at peace with God, whatever you conceive him to be, and whatever your labors and aspirations in the noisy confusion of life. Keep peace in your soul. With all its sham, drudgery, and broken dreams, it is still a beautiful world. Be cheerful. Strive to be happy. By Max Ehrmann. 1927. I just thought that was such a great thing. So this is one of the things that came across me during the week that I posted on my Facebook page. I also came across Michael Knowles' podcast that I was listening with. I think Nala Ray is her name. She's a former OnlyFans star, and she found God and got married and basically ended her time there. And it's a really great podcast. I wasn't much enjoying it towards the end, just because she strikes me as very young, and I could identify with the parts of her that came to God and came to certain realizations, but I and her practices of things and her spirit within God, it feels very on fire like me. And just super excited about it and wanting so badly to move forward in a way that keeps God in focus always, and in the way that I move and work. But later, there was just certain things that I think were more personal about her, and that just kind of, there's a lot of things that she does that I'm probably not ever going to be interested in. And that's the thing, is that she's younger than me, and there's just certain aspects of it that I feel disinterested in. And not that they're wrong, I'm just not interested. She seems lovely, but I'm not interested in certain things. I am interested in her. She's doing consulting right now and trying to help people make money off of TikTok and certain spaces, certain social media platforms, and I think she's trying to invoke God in those ways, which I identify with. It's really cool. The other thing that happened was I drove to West Virginia and attended a homeschooling conference, the West Virginia Homeschooling Conference. It was largely sponsored by, it's called WV Home Educators Association, West Virginia Home Educators Association. It's that they break it down into an acronym. Their organization is www.wvhea.org, and they really put on quite a great show. It was awesome. I met so many people. I was really just kind of moved to do it. I saw that Allie Oxenblood had posted about it. She lives in West Virginia. I know that she homeschools her kids, and I have been a very big advocate of homeschooling for a minute now. I do think it's very much so time to analyze our education system as it stands and figure out different things for it, because it's just not yielding good results at this point, as far as I can tell. There are people who are doing all right, but for the most part, from the bulk analysis of this, scores keep going down and we keep paying more, and that's not okay as far as I'm concerned. And I feel like there's a way to do this for much less and a much more integral thing, and also gives parents more sovereignty over the education of their children and connection to their children. I think this is an amazing thing, because one of the things I witnessed at the convention was parents going to these things and either vending and having a booth and, sharing this experience with their kids, which was very much, something I did when I was a kid. I went with my family to do fundraisers for my dad's sports teams and things like that. We would also go and stand on the sidelines and, root for my father and all the other athletes. And so this was something that I grew up doing. Like we were a small business, so we would do fundraisers. We would also do initiatives, and we'd work with other, people in the community and sponsor sports teams and things like that. My parents would, speaking about regulatory systems and things like that, they noticed that the caliber of licensed worker coming out of these, what do you call them? Vocational programs in high school. I don't know if they were licensed. I think that they were, they were coming over from vocational programs in high school, weren't good. And from what we understood and gathered was what would happen is a lot of people would go into their guidance counselors and say that they wanted to cut hair or they wanted to be in the beauty industry. And their guidance counselors would be like, oh no, your test scores are way too high for that. You should go to college. You really should go to college. And what they would do is they would put a lot of the kids that, were kind of antisocial issues into vocational school because they just didn't have anywhere else to put them. And, my parents were really, really upset about this, not just for the sake of the child, which is, a factor, because they were just kind of dumping them someplace and they weren't actually preparing them for the reality of the job, which is high interface with people. You don't just get to play with hair all day and do what you want. You have to serve your client. And so my parents, they did things like that. Like they would go to these vocational programs and help uplift the entire program. They would, go out to other schools and teach classes on things that were not otherwise known, like men's haircuts and things like that, clipper cuts and free cutting. And these were things that we did all the time. So when I heard about the homeschooling convention, which is something that I want to know about homeschool, I learned a little bit. I saw that they, first of all, there's a lot of support, a lot of different programs. One of the cool ones was this, what is it? Civil Air Patrol. They give you like a STEM kit for like $35 a year. They'll send you all these different educational like kits that will, grow certain things in your kids. Let's see, there's a kit on angles, there's a kit on build and learn geometry, cross-country navigation, flight simulator, outdoor quadcopter, indoor quadcopter, remote controlled aircraft, bridge building, snaptricity, I don't even know what that is, rocketry, robotics, renewable energy, mechanics, hydraulic engineering, astronomy. Like they send you these kits, I think once a month, they said, and you only have to pay for it once, and they sponsor all these people once you pay for your dues. And they said you only have to do it one time. They'll keep your kid kind of educated in the Civil Air Patrol kind of space, and it's really, really cool. They offer scholarships later. I heard about, different organizations that actually, sponsor graduation, because, when you homeschool, you don't get like a bulk graduation. So they'll create a space where like there's a cap and gown ceremony and people actually get certificates, and, like they have the kind of experience that kids that go to high school have. There were so many kids, they were all running around and playing, and there was lots of, interaction there, and lots of opportunities for reading, and just the gauntlet of things. There was even a chick there that was, she was bringing her business of being a travel agent to, kind of share with people her experience and her love of cruises. And she was like, if you're interested in a cruise, like I've found that for me and my family, these are the best things because it's just so easy, like it's actually a vacation where I'm not cleaning up everything. And, if you book a time somewhere else, you have checkout, you have all these things that you have to do. She's like, none of that is with a cruise. It's kind of all inclusive, and it's just, you can actually relax. So she was really cool. I'm trying to think what else. Apart from all of this, I love Allie. I loved the drive. My drive there was a bit icky because the weather was icky, and I don't know if you've ever driven to West Virginia or in that area, but it's very winding and very steep climbs and massive dips in the road, and it's like 70 miles per hour they allow you to go, and even though my car is equipped for those kind of things, it was, I couldn't trust in early February that the roads weren't going to be slick, and it was kind of rainy and misty all day for the first day that I traveled. But I love long drives, and I was able to listen to a bunch of stuff, and Allie and I figured out that we pretty much eat the same, travel the same, have a certain kind of temperance of things. Her son Bjorn that I got to meet, he was fantastic. What a cool kid. I find him just super refreshing, and their relationship just beautiful. Honestly, everything about it beautiful. I had a great time. I don't know what I'm gonna do with any of it except for put out, the materials that I show you guys the materials that I got in a post, and maybe share a few websites and links and stuff that you can go and check out. If you're interested in those things, that way, if you live in West Virginia, I kind of make up for the fact that you might not have been able to make the convention. I also would like to interview. I know this is a lot about me these days, and I want to do diary entries, but I might actually try to interview one of the head coordinators of the whole convention and see how it's all kind of been brought about. It was just a wonderful time. Everybody was lovely. Everybody was super kind and sweet and caring, and concerned, genuinely caring and concerned. It's just the kind of energy that I like being around. people who actually apply themselves to the things that they want to see in the world. And if it's not happening, they're going to make it happen. And I just love that. So it was a wonderful time. Throughout it, it was going to be just three of us, my friend Jetta, my friend Tara, she's been on the podcast, and me at Baltimore Tattoo Convention. But actually, we're going to have Allie now. So Allie's coming to Baltimore in March. That's when the Baltimore Tattoo Convention is happening on March 7th, 8th, and 9th. So if you'd like to come out and see us and see the spectacle that is the Baltimore Tattoo Convention, please come out. It's a hoot. I wish I loved conventions more, but I don't. I will say that the homeschool convention was like my kind of speed. It was a small thing, not huge crowds, like very digestible. Like the pace was nice, and you didn't have people like. There was only one person that I can really think of that was actively doing something that required massive amounts of bringing equipment and performance on the spot, which is this one maple syrup creator that was amazing. They had maple syrup cotton candy, and they had the cotton candy machine that they were making it like as they were selling it, and they were selling their maple syrup. That was really cool. I follow him on Facebook now. I'll get that for you, but it was just wonderful. And for me, that's what a convention should be. I don't think that, it should be a lot of people tattooing at a place, but that's what the conventions are in tattooing, and I'm just gonna lean in. It's always better when you have a good group of people to do it with. So now I have like an excellent group of people to do it with. I'm really excited about doing it. Just kind of geeking out about that a little bit. After I get off here, I have to make promotional materials for that, so we'll be doing that. Another thing that happened this past week is that I was able to order my friend Stephanie Welker's book. She wrote a book. It's called Change a Smile, Change a Life. And so I know an author of a book. I mean, I've actually done covers for books for people and been hired to do those things, but it's so cool this is a client of mine. She's gotten a few tattoos from me, and I've known her for most of my time as a tattoo artist. And she, the whole book is about a guide to running $1 million dental business and bowing out wealthy. So it's all about how to elevate your dental game. But I can't agree more with the sentiment of change a smile, change a life, because that's one of the first things people see about you is your teeth, is your smile. A lot of people tell you to smile because it makes them uncomfortable when you're not smiling. You can hear a smile over the phone. If somebody's actually joyous when they're doing their work. And, even when you go to order, at Burger King, if the person over the phone is just kind of, and you can tell they're not giving it their all. And we can argue about whether or not somebody should at Burger King give it their all. But my whole thing is that if you give each thing that you do your all, you're never wasting your time. And you just don't know. You just don't know what that's going to lead to. I can tell you, I ran into a guy in Burger King that was such a great, service provider. I ordered something through the drive-through. This was late at night one night, and it was crazy, and I had nothing but Burger King to kind of like get to quickly because I was starving. So I order, and this lovely gentleman comes through, and he is just bubbly and goes through all the different things. Like, do you want this? Do you want this? Can I give you any sauces? Like, would you like this section? I mean, beautiful. And then he greeted me with a smile. He was just a joy the whole time. And he wasn't there long. Like, I had gone back to that Burger King again and never saw him again. And I probably because the kid was, on his way to something else. Like somebody picked him up and was like, hey, you should come to work for us over here. You're way too good. The other thing that happened is that, like I said, here's the maple syrup company on Facebook. It's Maple Cotton Candy is the actual company. They're pretty cool. Let's see here if I can. So they are in come on. Trying to read they're in New York. Is that what that says? It's called Thole Hill Farm, I think. Yeah. And they got like a maple leaf, and Allie was freaking out because she heard that the maple trees that grow on her property, she was told by other people were invasive and you couldn't actually tap for maple syrup. Actually, that's not true. That the ones that are on her property she actually would that would be less sugar content, but you could totally tap them. And she was so excited. So that was a cool educational thing. There were so many educational moments. I also got like a little baby Jesus, and I mean this. There was they're like the more Christian oriented space for like Girl Scouts, but it's like a troop like Girl Scouts, but is very Christian centered and Jesus centered. And they were, let's see, I got it all behind me. I'm sorry. But what were they called? They were called American Heritage Girls, and it was very cool. And they were giving away these little Jesus dudes. They were just these cute little, they almost look Lego-ish, but they're not Lego. They were just these cute little Jesuses. So I have a little baby Jesus from this that I love. He's so cute. Sweet baby Jesus. So the next day I didn't go to church. I actually went to Black Lotus. Had a Black Lotus tattoo gallery, had an open art day. And oh my God, if I am to skip church, that's the caliber of happenings that I would expect. It was just like the homeschool convention. Like I said, people completely dedicated to being present and truly caring about what they do. And meet and greet, I met an audio engineer and music maker. I met a glass artist. I met a collage artist. I met, I re-met some of the people that already worked at Black Lotus. Merv, his girlfriend. I met the front end staff that was there, Chase and Jessica, who were amazing. Took care of us all. They had a full spread, like they had ordered this huge catering kind of spread for everybody, which was phenomenal. Merv made his Pappy's pot pie, like homemade. It's his second passion is cooking. So he shared that with all of us, which was just awesome. It was so good. I took a picture of the plate of food that I got from the catering, but I ate the pot pie so quickly because it was hot and amazing that it didn't have an opportunity. Most of the day was fully in the moment. And, I'm so glad I was able to experience that and stay with everybody. But I did make a point of taking photos. That was the one regret that I had of my time with Allie, was that there wasn't enough photos of the homeschool convention for me to show you, because I was trying to take it all in so much and meet people and interact and go around to the booths and, hang with Allie. And it doesn't really occur to me to document most things. I know it's important when you're doing social media, and more when I'm trying to do this for all of you and show you what I've experienced, at least in a Cliff Notes kind of way or in a visual way. But I didn't do that with her. And so I tried to do it the next day at Black Lotus, and what a phenomenal place. I truly recommend that you guys sign up for their newsletter. Sorry if you hear Rico in the background. He likes to be loud downstairs, and I did not close my door. So hopefully there's not too much of that in the background. But I went there and worked on my first. It's the Cormorant. I think that's how you say it. It's a bird. It's a water bird that I actually met somebody. Her name was Ash. She didn't have a social media place, but she was such a multifaceted artist. She did pet portraits. She did resin. She did all this really cool multimedia art. She's too cool. I told her about the World Horse Expo that's going on early March as well. And I shared with her, like maybe you could go and check out like the space and maybe rent a booth and get a, repertoire of work together for it eventually. But yeah, she was really cool, but she recognized the bird. And I have two paintings going simultaneously. One is a raven and one is the cormorant. I think that's how you say it. But they're in Leviticus. It's Birds of the Bible series. They're in Leviticus as the unclean birds that you don't eat. They're not for eating. And it's mostly because they're surrounded by death and decay, and that's what they eat. And I would have to imagine that's just, kind of ordered in the way of that they could hurt you. Like if you eat them, you could catch something and it could be bad. But yeah, so I'm going through them first, and it's been really fun trying to figure out how I'm doing this. I'm using two different mediums, acrylic as a base, and then going over with the bird actually in oil so it could have a lot more like substance and shine. The colors are less dull. And I also made a point of incorporating as the first touch of oils to the canvas, frankincense and myrrh. They're on the side of the canvas, or they'll be located on the canvas in some form or fashion, and then gold. And I have this gold enamel that I'm using that's pretty cool. It's like liquid gold leaf. And I think I'm going to start with those. And when it comes to the oil applications, do the bird, do the painting, maybe touch up a few things. I did go ahead and put the enamel frame around the bird, and I found that my proportions were off and I had to like paint over it in places. So I'm probably going to have to like reestablish my boundary of the enamel gold. But I kind of like that because that's what Jesus was given on his birthday, and it kind of is cyclical in the Bible, and Jesus and all of these things, like these things wrap around. There's lots of miracles and prophecies and things like that that are realized, that I kind of like that, setting a foundation that needs to kind of like be disordered to be ordered again. And then I think I want to make my signature, once all is said and done, in gold leaf, put that on gold leaf. And so start with those three things and end with gold, because he's the King of Kings. So that was Black Lotus. I'll share some of the people that I met so that you can follow them. Hopefully you do. They're brilliant. What I liked about the audio creator Scott and the glass artist Dylan, from what I understood, is that they really started learning their art in 2020. How cool is that? Like, they realized their life, needed a shift, and they wanted to invest themselves into something focused and creative, and they put themselves fully into it in 2020. And I just think that's so cool. That's so cool. So I was really excited to meet them. I hope to have each of them on the show too, just because that would be amazing. Oh, and I also met the two graduated apprentices from Black Lotus, Julian and Mike, who both awesome people, very sweet. Julian does like a black and gray, gorgeous style, really dope at lettering. And then Mike does this beautiful traditional, at least as far as what I saw that day. Gorgeous stuff. There was also Kristen Marsden there. I think I've met her before. I don't want to say, but we didn't talk much. I met her. Kirsten Marsden. Is it Kristen or Kirsten? Kristen? Oh man, it's terrible. I apologize if I got your name wrong. Marsden, I know, is correct. We didn't talk much, and usually that helps implement a name. I'm bad at names, so it helps get in my head. But for the people that I talked to, it was wonderful and just such a great day. So I recommend that if you are in the area of Maryland and it's not too far a drive, even if it is, I drove 5 hours to go to West Virginia to a homeschooling convention and then drove back and then made this event. But if you're, relatively local, I would sign up for Black Lotus Tattoo Gallery's newsletter so that you can catch events that they do like this. I personally asked that they do more of them because it was amazing. So in conclusion, I wanted to let you guys know that this evening, I am starting my accounting classes. It's going to be my first class. I'm taking Excel basics, and I don't know, I got a book. I'm going to do it via Zoom. So, I'm pretty knowledgeable about all that. So we're going to see how it goes, and it's going to be fun. I have almost talked your ears off for about an hour and a half. So I feel like this is wrapping up quite well. I don't know if this is really communicated much of God. Sometimes things just happen and you don't really know what's applicable when. With the homeschooling thing, I feel like it was pretty interesting that my parents came to me and kind of asked me if I wanted to take over their salon and teach art out of it. And then I just had this convention that I wanted to go to, and it involved homeschooling and things like that and support. So I don't know where it's leading, guys, but it's pretty fun. I'm enjoying myself. Don't be afraid. You're way more strong than you think and capable. And, you're never alone. I want you to know that you're never alone. You might be angry at a lot. You might even be angry at God, but God's still there. If you have the capacity to be angry at God, know that you do believe in God then. And God has enough grace for you to let you be angry at him. But I would suggest you seek him and you try to know him, because the more you do, the more you find this amazing peace in your heart and in your life and in the way that you move, and you learn to trust and fall into the things that are unsure and just let go a lot more. It's so wonderful, and I feel so much better about everything. Even though things are still as uncertain as they were before, and there's a lot coming that we can't know, I'm a lot more at peace. So I hope this has been entertaining. I hope that it has been insightful. I hope I gave you some cool things to check out that may or may not interest you. I plan on giving some links and resources in the show notes so that you can check things out. But no matter what, I'm praying for all of us. I'm not going to shut up. Not until God says you're done, kid. And I'm going to keep loving all of you and trying to be better all the time. And I hope that for everyone. May we all rise together and become better. That is my hope. So, God bless you, diary listeners. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day, a very powerful week, and yeah. If you get another moment in this world, it is a gift, and I hope you make the most of it. I love you. Bye. Ooh, diary listeners. One more thing. Pardon. I just came back from eating, and I realized I didn't say something else that happened. Just yesterday, I finished the tattoo for Rico. So now he has his white-tailed deer on him, and it was what I wanted to share was that it was really nice doing a painting for him and getting to translate the painting into a tattoo. That was pretty cool, because I had to figure out the edges and make sure it was, accommodating for the space. He put it on his forearm. But it was also really nice to not be looking at a screen for reference. I usually use my iPad, so it was really cool to be able to tattoo from a painting reference that I made previously, and that was kind of fun. I've only done that a few times where I've translated already pre-made paintings of mine into a tattoo, and it was really awesome. So I hope there's more of that in the future. That'd be really cool. I've made some paintings. Some of my friends have kind of teased with the idea of getting them translated into a tattoo. I hope they do. I hope they follow through with that. One of them is this wolf painting that I made. My friend Faith said that she might be interested in getting that. So that would be really awesome if she did. But yeah, just know that translating one of my paintings into a tattoo is nice. And I liked, it felt good on my eyes to be registering a light from, without a light behind the actual image, which is what you get with screens and stuff. So it was kinder on my eyes. I'm getting old. So that was the thing I wanted to report. Rico is getting more tattoos, wants more. Yeah, we have it on record here on this show that he said he didn't like getting tattoos because they hurt too much, which he really doesn't like the pain. But I think it's crossed the point where he does actually want to get them, and he does enjoy the things I paint, and he's been more into it as I've been painting wildlife scenes. Next he wants a turkey. And I told him I would be calling him Turkey from that point on. Anyway, I thought I'd throw that in there. That's something that I wanted to share with you guys. It was a happening this week that was pretty cool and unexpected. We just decided to work on him and finish his piece. So I'll share that with you guys. Again, God bless and great week. Mwah. Love you.
Thanks for listening. You can find the Apprenticeship Diaries on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Our IG is _apprenticeship_diaries. If you would like to offer constructive criticism or an interview, drop us an email at theapprenticeshipdiaries@gmail.com. We look forward to hearing from our listeners.